20k to the finish line of stage 3, the Queen stage, the first ever summit finish at the Deutschland Tour. And Harm van Hooke just reacting to that move there as Gessner goes off the front. Breakaway beginning to fall apart a little bit. Huppert's under pressure now just to follow the wheels. 19.7, it's very dark now and very, very wet. The weather really closing in, and Harm van Hooke has got past all the other riders. You can see he's off on his own, and you can see Gessner looking around there to see where Huppert's was, because Huppert's needs to get on the front now and try and shut down this move from Harm van Hooke, which he duly does. So Joshua Huppert's has only got that red jersey in mind now to try and bring him back. But Van Hooke, very much the senior partner in that six-man breakaway. And as you'd expect, he has launched a long-range attack. Philip Maciuk, who's already been working hard on the front from Bahrain Victorious. The big Polish time trialist, Jonathan Milan, I should say. Did a huge amount of work yesterday. The sprinter, the Olympic gold medalist from the Tokyo Games, along with Filippo Ganna in the team pursuit for Italy. Two minutes 44, continuing to come down fast. Hexenthal, the Witches Valley, that's where they're passing through now. And up into the, starting to hit some of the wooded hillsides and the characteristic dark, lush, green, verdant foliage of the Black Forest. Alexander Kristoff now on the front almost for Intermarché Wanty-Gobert. Ben Healy, another exceptional day of racing for him. For EF Education Easy Post, another really good showing for him. As Simon Geschke's got a bit of support from one of his young teammates in the German national team. You can see the bearded figure of the man from Freiburg, knows these roads intimately. So many of the riders will be completely unfamiliar with this climb. Vast majority of the peloton will never have raced it before, but Geschke knows it like the back of his hand. Not just this climb, but the last climb as well, the Schauinsland climb. Dropping down now to the foot of the climb, just 900 metres to go before the breakaway are on the climb. There's Harm van Hooke, still off the front on his own, but Huppert's is doing a good job of keeping Harm van Hooke just about within sight. Gessner right on the back, the king of the mountains. Badly wants these 5 points at the top of Louisenhöhe. There are points for the first 3 riders at the top of this climb, 5, 3 and 1 respectively. If he can take those 5 points, then the King of the Mountains jersey is as good as his, and it makes tomorrow so much easier to manage for Gessner. In the wet there, the brakes really making their feelings felt as they come round the corner and onto the climb. There it is, there's the start of the climb. 3.5 kilometres, 7.4%, and an advantage of 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It should, in theory, just about be enough for Gessner. Harm van Hooke has been caught by Huppert's, so the Lotto Kern man has done a very good job for his leader, Gessner, today. Michael Stockmann, next rider to attack. Harm van Hooke just fills the gap, along with Huppert's. Looks like Abraham Stockmann is struggling a little bit on the wheels as the riders get themselves back together again. They're sharing the work on this, the early parts of this climb. Recovers well though, Stockmann. The pace just eases off a little bit. It's actually his brother doing, his twin brother doing the turn on the front almost. Or sitting on the wheel now, for now at least, of Joshua Huppert's. Harm van Hooke out of the saddle. So going to try and attack again, van Hooke. This time Stockmann looks in more trouble, Abraham Stockmann. Gessner now stretching it out a little bit on the front. The rider in the blue jersey of the King of the Mountains competition. Huppertz has dropped. Radios to tell Gessner that he can't hold the wheels any longer. Joshua Huppertz, that Gessner is on his own at the front. It's actually dropped by his teammate there. It was when Gessner really started to accelerate at the front that Huppertz was put into difficulty, but he gets back on as now the peloton being led onto the climb by Bora Hansgrohe. They hit this climb too, the penultimate climb of the day. Gingerly round that corner. And it's Marco Haller and Niels Pollitt setting the pace. Quite a pace it is as well. A lot of the sprinters perhaps doing their last efforts on the behalf of their teams now. Marco Haller, Alexander Kristoff, Niels Pollitt all doing what they can. Max Kanter getting onto the front for Movistar. Looking around to see where his leader is. Oscar Rodriguez and Ivan Sosa. Lawrence de Plus is there. Abraham Stockmann still just dangling off the back of the other 5 riders. Joshua Huppertz has recovered on the climb and he's got back onto the front. So Huppertz now doing his final turn perhaps for Gessner. 2:25. That's much, much more encouraging for Jakob Gessner, with 2.2 kilometers of this climb still to go. And Niels Pollitt working on the front. The defending champion here at the Deutschland Tour, who even before the race got underway said, I have 0 chance of defending my title here at the Deutschland Tour. Not with the introduction of this big summit finish, not with the climb to Schauinsland. Far too hard for Niels Pollitt. It's all about Emanuel Buchmann for them today, I think. And there is Buchmann in the green. Just moving up and now slotting into 4th wheel. And another Bora Hansgrohe rider, Felix Großschartner, as Romain Bardet moves up on the left-hand side as well. And already the back of this bunch is starting to come under severe pressure. You can see riders dropping very fast there. There's the green jersey of Alexander Kristoff, who's done his last turn on the front. And it's Romain Bardet's team and Tim Naberman, who really set the pace now at the front, DSM. Nico Denz it is on 2nd wheel, so Bardet is tucked in the wheels a little bit, but allowing his teammates just to try and shred this peloton, whittle it down, make a selection. And they're doing a good job, and it's not necessarily what the breakaway want to hear, as the rain pours down on this climb now. The Luisenhöhe climb is drenched, and it's well, that proved almost the undoing of Nico Denz there. He nearly rode into the back wheel of his teammate, but Denz takes over with Felix Großschartner on his wheel. Then there's Patrick Conrad, Lawrence de Plus, Davide Formolo. Suddenly it's got a real climber's look to the front of it, this group. And the time gap is coming down quite fast, 1:46, with still 1.8 kilometers of this climb to go. Jakob Gessner, the King of the Mountains, on the front. Joshua Huppertz, his teammate, out of the saddle, labouring to try and stay in contention. Both of the Stockmann brothers still there, miraculously somehow. Abraham Stockmann was still there, but now, once again, he's losing contact with the back of this group, and I think that is the last time we'll see Joshua Huppertz today, and Abraham Stockmann. Harm van Hooker has got to the front, and they're riding away from those two. So the breakaway falling apart, there's just 4 riders left. Make that 3, make that 2. It looks like just Gessner and Harm van Hooker are together. Fredrik Grassmann from Downer Akon drops away, and they look round that hairpin bend and they can see the peloton coming. 1.5 minutes, 1.6 kilometers to go. They are coming in very fast as a rainbow plays out over the fields and the lower foothills of these climbs. Denz still on the front, bobbing his head from side to side. Davide Formolo on the right-hand side of the road. It's a pretty narrow road, this, all fighting for space a little bit. Ben Tulit is still there from the Ineos Grenadiers towards the front. Gessner and Harm van Hooker. Van Hooker's riding away from Gessner, who gets out of the saddle, tries to get across to the Belgian. He'd settle, he might have to settle for 2nd place here, Gessner. 1:23 the gap. 1.2 kilometers of this climb to go, and Van Hooker once again is riding away from this breakaway and emerging the strongest on this climb. Gessner now is starting to look backwards rather than forwards in his own personal battle for second place at the top of this climb. Felix Großschartner now, Border Hansgrohe take it over. Egan Bernal has appeared at the front. It's the first time we've seen Egan Bernal on a climb since his accident, because there were no climbs at the Tour of Denmark. So Bernal back on familiar terrain for him. Be very interesting to see how he goes on these climbs. There he is, Egan Bernal, tucked into third place in this peloton that can't be more than about 35 riders strong. James Piccoli is dropping away right at the back there from the Israel Premier Tech team, their GC Hope. But it's Border Hansgrohe in control, with Großschartner, Conrad. Then comes Bernal, Davide Formolo, Schellmoser of Trek Segafredo. George Bennett is there. You can see Romain Bardet. Still see Laurens de Plus and Adam Yates. Within the final kilometre now, Harm van Hooker is off. He's fled the coupe. He's emerged the strongest of the 6 riders in the breakaway, and he's got a 1 minute and 18-second lead over the peloton. Just picked up 1 King of the Mountains point so far today. If he takes Louisenhohe, he'll be on 6 points, and he'll be in 3rd place by my reckoning in that competition. Just hearing on race radio that Niels Pollitt has been dropped, and that is definite confirmation of what he predicted, that he won't be able to survive in the general classification at this edition of the Deutschland Tour. And remember, this isn't the last climb. This is just the hors d'oeuvre, the penultimate climb. Get over the top of this, drop down 2 kilometers, and then the climb to Schauinsland begins. Big crowds here. 500 meters to go to Harm van Hooker at the Louisenhohe climb. They've waited in the rain for this moment. Here he is, Lotto Soudal's Harm van Hooker, receiving the warm encouragement of this Baden-Württemberg crowd here, who braved torrential rain to celebrate the passage of the Deutschland Tour. Sun coming out now, the rain has stopped, at least temporarily, and indeed at the finish line now, it's no longer raining and the sun has come out, so maybe a bad period of weather has just blown through, and we're going to get a dry finish to this race. Just hearing of other riders who have been dropped, and Oscar Rodriguez has been dropped from Movistar. Perhaps a little bit surprisingly. They've still got 3 riders up there, but from what we heard on race radio, could be that Oscar Rodriguez has dropped. Can still see Sebastian Schoenberger there, the team leader of B&B Hotels, although he's quite a long way down the line, as the Ineos Grenadiers show their presence ever more visibly towards the front of the bunch. So Harm van Hooker is going to pick up 5 points in the King of the Mountains competition. That gives him 6, and he's got a 1 minute and 16-second lead over the bunch. Gessner, is he going to be able to hold on and take 2nd place over the top of the climb? We've lost sight of him. Might have to wait for confirmation of Jakob Gessner picking up those 3 points. Laurens de Plus now setting things up for the Ineos Grenadiers. We've got Helen Pernsteiner and Pello Bilbao moving closer to the front in the colours of Bahrain Victorious. Antonio Pedrero is there as well. So 3rd place for Jakob Gessner, just 1 point after all of that. Gessner picks up 1 further point, and that leaves him at the end of the day on 18 points, assuming that he doesn't pick up any at the Schauinsland climb, but I don't think he will be doing that. One of the Stockmann brothers, I think it was Abraham, going over the top. And Joshua Huppert is going to be the first rider, I think, to be caught by the breakaway. Laurens de Plus coming in fast now. Joshua Huppert swept up as the peloton parts its ways now, just to sweep up Joshua Huppert, and over the top of the climb, Pernsteiner and Laurens de Plus, those 2 mountain domestiques matching each other over the top of the penultimate climb. Bauke Mollema right towards the back of that group, and so too is Simon Geschke and Gijs Leemreize. And there is a two-rider group, including Niels Pollitt, the winner of the last year's edition of the race. It's similarly appalling weather conditions in Nuremberg. So 2 kilometre, it drops down now before the 11.6 kilometre ascent of Schauinsland. Pello Bilbao, brilliant descender that he is, gets on the front. Pernstein on his wheel, and Bilbao's putting everyone under a little bit of stress here. Not concerned with the wet weather conditions, Pello Bilbao, although even he is being a little bit cautious on this descent. It's only a short descent, but it means that he can hit the final climb in pole position. .54 seconds now between Harm van Hooke and the peloton, being headed by Pello Bilbao of Bahrain Victorious. So lost in the trees a little bit at the moment. Pello Bilbao and Hermann Pernstein have opened up a little bit of a gap on the road by attacking this descent, giving themselves a small advantage over the rest, following the lines of the motorbike. I think it's Michael Stockmann who's the next rider to be picked off. Then Jakob Gessner, who's taken his earpiece out. Job done for the day, and a very good job that he's done too. He finishes the day on 18 points in the King of the Mountains competition, 11 better off than anyone else. 17 points remain after today in the King of the Mountains competition. Pernstein taking a really wide line round that sweeping right-hander. As we look at the back here, and you can see one of the Movistar riders and a rider from DSM cautiously going down that descent. So 11 kilometres to go for the front of the race. They're on the climb already. Harm van Hooke is on the climb, and I think Pello Bilbao will be as well. There they go, Pernstein and Bilbao starting to climb already. One of the Stockmann brothers who's been picked up there, just sitting in with the GC group for now. I wonder how long he can hold on as we look at some of these further riders just being dropped off the back. One of the riders from AG2R Citroën, a B&B Hotels rider. That's the damage already starting to happen on the Schauinsland climb. And the opening 4 or 5 kilometres amongst the hardest on the Schauinsland climb. Harm van Hooke now. This is the front of the race. He's got a 55-second lead over the peloton, and he is an excellent climber, Harm van Hooke. Trying to pace his effort now. It's a long, long way to the top. 10.8 kilometres to go for the rider from... And we're hearing that Romain Bardet is being dropped. I'm hearing that on race radio. Romain Bardet is dropped from this group. Now, that is surprising. So quite what's affected Romain Bardet, I'm not sure, but he's been dropped. That's what we're hearing on race radio as Laurens de Plus now starts to set this up and wind it up for Adam Yates and the Ineos Grenadiers. Antonio Pedrero is still there from Movistar. There is Bardet, just battling to get back into that group, but clearly hasn't got the legs today. Comes past Felix Großschartner, who's done a lot of work for Bora Hansgrohe. Can Bardet get back into this group? Oh, about to lose one of the big favourites if he can't. And it's a great ride from Laurens de Plus from the Ineos Grenadiers. Ben Tulit is still there for the Grenadiers as well. There's Egan Bernal and Bauke Mollema as well, the fourth placed rider in the general classification. He too is being dropped. So that's a big, big name falling away and out of contention. Bauke Mollema being dropped as well. Laurens de Plus is going so hard, he's ridden off the front now. So Mauri van Sevenen just comes past Adam Yates, and de Plus looks round, and I think he's done, is he? He went so hard there, he just dropped the rest of the field. Bauke Mollema, confirmation of what we just saw. Bauke Mollema dropped from the peloton. 39 seconds now. De Plus's acceleration there has carved a big chunk of time back out of the advantage of Harm van Hooke, and that is all that remains of the peloton at the moment. Mauri van Sevenen still there. Antonio Pedrero going on the offensive from Movistar. So Pedrero, followed by Davide Formolo. Mauri van Sevenen peels off to the right-hand side of the road, looks round, sees Ben Tulit still there. Geest Leemreizer, I'm hearing as well, has been dropped. There is the lone leader, though. So dark under this thick canopy of dark beech tree leaves, and now the pouring rain as well. So Formolo trying to encourage his Movistar compatriot here, or his helper, in this little breakaway off the front. Simon Geschke in home roads. He's in trouble as well, so Simon Geschke's losing contact in the company of Leemreizer, who we heard had been dropped. So the damage being done is enormous. That's Patrick Conrad of Bora Hansgrohe who's falling away. Another rider of significance, Tobias Voss, he too is being dropped. And Davide Formolo now, looking good. The Ineos Grenadiers, though, got huge strength back in that peloton by the looks of it, or at least they got Ben Tulit and Adam Yates still both there. Pedrero and Formolo, though, developing a bit of a lead on the on this climb, and Formolo's been in great form in 2022. He's looked really, really strong. There's Van Hooker. Pretty soon they'll be seeing him. Those two riders have got away at the moment. Pedrero, what a year he's had, Antonio Pedrero. Good form as well in August, taking a stage at the Tour de l'Ain and finishing 5th in the general classification of that race. Ben Tulit has got a real job to do here, though, to pilot Adam Yates back up to that group, Antonio Pedrero and Davide Formolo, who have really developed a healthy advantage over that reduced group of favourites. Still, Harm van Hooker has a 30-second advantage, 9.4 kilometres to go for him. Well, Adam Yates now is on his own. You can see Yates accelerating at the front of that group and trying to come across to Pedrero and Formolo. So Tulit has done all he can. Mauri van Sevenen following the wheel there of Adam Yates. Then comes Pello Bilbao and George Bennett. Those riders coming clear. There's a pink jersey there that belongs to Ruben Guerrero, I think. But Yates made that look very easy in the end. A good ride from Ben Tulit to allow him to get onto the wheel of Pedrero. But Yates looked consummately easy there. Another rider from Movistar is that Ivan Sosa. Hard to see from there. Pello Bilbao and might be Alberto Bettiol, you know, there. Oh no, Bettiol's in the red jersey. Of course it can't be. That's Ruben Guerrero in the pink jersey. My apologies. But Bennett looking. So Davide Formolo and George Bennett both still there from UAE Team Emirates. As the rainbow continues to play beautifully over these wet, wooded hillsides. The Deutschland Tour's first ever summit finish, brewing up nicely. Still got 9 kilometres of battle to do. Harm van Hooker's advantage has been eaten into as we look at riders towards the back. Sean Quinn, what a versatile rider he is, but there's Alberto Bettiol. Still there, just about holding on in the red jersey. But Pedrero goes again, and Mauri van Sevenen reacts this time. Formolo still there, Pello Bilbao. Pedrero's looking super strong today. 30-year-old Spanish rider. Looks round, considers going again, whether or not he can prize a little group away. That was a good move with him and Formolo, but commits to going solo now. And there's a bit of looking round to see who is going to respond. There is Alberto Bettiol, still hanging on in there in the company of Emmanuel Buchmann. So they haven't got rid of the race leader just yet, Bettiol, and he's such a gutsy rider. Coming roaring back into life, Laurens Huys, the young rider from Intermarché Wanty-Gobert. But there is the lone leader, Harm van Hooker. And pretty soon we're going to see riders coming across. In fact, we can now, as there's a reaction from Yates once more, turning that characteristically very heavy gear. Gets across to Pedrero. Those two riders going clear. Mauri van Sevenen bobbing on the bike as ever. Reacting, trying to get across to Yates and Pedrero. Buchmann just dangling off the back, but Bettiol, by the looks of it, has got round Buchmann and onto the wheels of that Mauri van Sevenen group. There's Harm van Hooker. Yates looking very, very comfortable, coming across to Harm van Hooker. Looks fully in control today, Adam Yates. Pedrero also looking strong. Formolo just peeling across to the right-hand side of the road. They haven't gone clear yet, these riders. Harm van Hooker, though, finds that he has Adam Yates and Antonio Pedrero with him. There's Alberto Bettiol. Great ride from him, with those two riders, Georg Zimmermann and Lorenz Hues from Intermarché Wanty-Gobert. Yates doing the work on the front of this group. Pello Bilbao and Mauri van Sevenen swapping turns in that chase group. Yates the best of these riders in the general classification. Antonio Pedrero 22 seconds down on GC. Adam Yates just 6 seconds down. So Yates very much in the box seat here, not just in terms of the stage win potentially, but also the race leader's jersey. And look at that gap that's opening up now. They're leaving it late to respond. That's Formolo, Mauri van Sevenen, Pello Bilbao, Ruben Guerrero, Alberto Bettiol battling hard with Sean Quinn, who's still in that group with George Bennett. Amazing rider Sean Quinn is, the American. The Californian rider can compete in bunch sprints, proves that time and time again, but it can also climb so effectively. Hugely versatile rider. Van Hooker gets dropped now by Pedrero and Yates. And Pedrero is doing nothing but sitting on the wheel of the British rider from the Ineos Grenadiers. Yates is almost riding as if he doesn't care that Pedrero is there. He's not bothered, he's not flicking the elbow as yet and asking Pedrero to do a turn. He must be feeling so confident, Yates, that he can drop the Spaniard at will. At least that's what his body language suggests. Riding almost as if the Spaniard wasn't there. Pedrero just sitting on the wheel of Yates. Some of the hardest gradients are right now on the Schouwinsland. There's a battling ride here from Sylvain Moniquet, the young Belgian from Lotto Soudal, who gets himself just about into that group. The chase group, let's call it that, where Bettiol is still not giving up. $7K to go, as Adam Yates, calm as you like, just wipes the odd little spit of rain from his computer on his bike. Riding to power now, Adam Yates. Riding without any sense of threat from Antonio Pedrero, but he knows in the back of his mind, surely, that Pedrero is in good form and that the 30-year-old rider from Movistar is still there, and that the chase is getting, well, I wouldn't say it's getting organised, but there are isolated riders trying to chase across, and it looks like there's a counter-attack from Movistar now. Harm van Hooker has been caught by that chase group. I know Rubio, I think it must be, trying to chase across. Of course, that's quite a risk. If Rubio gets across there, that is quite a risk. He's done the right thing, though. He's accelerated and hasn't taken a rider with him. And there we are. Now, Pedrero's dropped and Yates goes solo. Yates, Adam Yates, on his own at the front of the race now. 6.4 kilometers to go. Yates looking good. Pedrero looking backwards to see his teammate Rubio coming across, then Ruben Guerrero. But Adam Yates is riding clear of the rest now. And that looks like it might well be the race-winning move. A long way out, but Adam Yates is perfectly prepared, as he's proven time and time again throughout his career, to take a race on from a long way out. So Pedrero's dropped and passed. And Yates, well, as the camera pans out, is a lone figure on the mountain. And he's already got around about 10 seconds of an advantage. Looking very focused, and now he does look back. Adam Yates hasn't done that very often, but knows that he's got a rider from Movistar trying to come across, and it's not Pedrero. Pedrero's been dropped in court. I think it's the other rider from Movistar. And I think it must be either Rubio. The race is not won yet for Adam Yates. He has attacked a long way out. It's the second rider on the road, Rubio. And here is the remains of that chase group with Schelmoser from Trek Segafredo moving up on the left-hand side of that group. Matthias Schelmoser and counter-attacking. So he's a dangerous rider, Schelmoser. Mauri van Sevenen, such an honest rider, hunting that one down on his wheel. Georg Zimmermann, a great ride from him with Davide Formolo. James Knox is still there, but Adam Yates, 6K to go, is almost out of sight. And indeed he is out of sight. Rubio's not given up. And Ivan Sosa. Also dropped here and falling away is George Bennett from that group. There's Yates. Still awaiting confirmation that that is Aina Rubio. I'm pretty sure it is him. But this race is all over the place at the moment. Exploded by Adam Yates, who's looking so in control of his effort at the moment. He's got a 15-second lead over Ivan Sosa, it is. Ivan Sosa. So we haven't seen Ivan Sosa yet. It is indeed the Colombian. Ex-Ineos Grenadiers has not had the best of starts for Movistar. But Ivan Sosa is off and trying to hunt down his former teammate, Adam Yates. Hasn't looked in the best of form so far during the Deutschland Tour, but a really good ride from Ivan Sosa. So my apologies for misidentifying him. But Sosa, we have seen him so seldom really on the offensive from Movistar. He's the second rider on the road at the moment. He's not a threat immediately in the general classification. He's 25 seconds down, and Adam Yates is only 6 seconds down. But Yates knows that he's coming, and there's still a race here. And he is closing that gap, or at least that's what it looks like. Guerrero as well. Has Adam Yates gone too early and bitten off more than he can chew? Out of the saddle now, Yates. And just a little bit of signs of, not overheating, but he's unzipped a little bit and showing a little bit more signs of fatigue on his face. 5.4 kilometers to go. 15 seconds, that's all he's got between him and Ivan Sosa. There's there's Antonio Pedrero and Ruben Guerrero of EF Education Movistar. They witching themselves back to Ivan Sosa. There's Sosa, and just going around the corner in front of him, you could see Adam Yates. Yates seated again now. Just turning a slightly smaller gear than he was when he accelerated away. Different position on the bike. And still holding that advantage over Ivan Sosa. Certainly Sosa's not making any big inroads on Yates, but equally Yates has not got rid of the challenge of Sosa just yet. Looks around just to check what that gap is. And it does look like it might be opening up, and it's a telltale sign that Ivan Sosa has stopped looking at Yates and is now starting to look backwards to see what might be coming up the road towards him. Here's Schelmoser, Matthias Schelmoser. Lorenz Huss of Intermarché Wanty Gobert. And now Yates has just repositioned himself, recalibrated his effort and got himself back into shape as Sosa starts in turn to show a little bit of signs of suffering. This is the chase group that's got itself together now. Georg Zimmermann, what a ride from him in the company of Ruben Guerrero, Pello Bilbao, Antonio Pedrero. James Knox is still there, the pairing from Quickstep Alpha Vinyl, including Mauri van Sevenen. Not out of the race yet. Sosa still the second rider on the road. The man from farming stock, just a couple of hours bus drive south of Bogota. And Yates getting cheered on now as he goes through the bonus sprint, taking a further 3 seconds in the general classification. So that's improved his GC standings. He's now just 3 seconds off the the lead, but effectively that's already the case because Alberto Bettiol has been dropped as well as all the others high up in the general classification. So Adam Yates is quite comfortably the race leader on the road at the moment, but the question is, can he win this stage, the first ever summit finish in the Deutschland Tour, this stage to Schauinsland as well to go with it. 4.4 kilometers to go for Adam Yates. Ivan Sosa picked up a further 2 seconds in terms of bonus seconds as Pello Bilbao tries to ride away from the chase group behind Sosa. It's the third group on the road at 39 seconds. Sosa's losing contact. You can see 20 seconds between Sosa and Adam Yates. James Knox has been dropped from that group. Mauri van Sevenant still just about holding on. Yates has now got 30 seconds, if that's those time gaps are to be believed. They're a little bit confusing on your screen, so I'm going to just ignore them for the time being and try and work off the evidence of what we can see from the cameras. So Sosa is in this group now. Sosa's been caught by Pello Bilbao and by Georg Zimmermann and Mauri van Sevenant and Ruben Guerrero. Knox looking round. This is the second group on the road, and Bilbao is driving it on. Still, this race isn't won for Adam Yates. Still, that is a retrievable advantage for this group, and Pello Bilbao is looking good here, and he's holding the advantage, or the disadvantage, to Adam Yates on the road. Van Sevenant's powers of recovery are immense, aren't they? He just peels off to the right-hand side. As Davide Formolo is being dropped from this group, as well as Antonio Pedrero dropping out of contention. As we switch our attentions back to the front of the race. Time gaps on the screen, thoroughly unreliable at the moment. It's hard to know what's going on without being able to see it. It does look like Adam Yates is still holding on to very good shape on the bike here and still looking very much in control of this race. Pello Bilbao looking up the road to see what the time gap might be, see if he can glimpse Adam Yates as the just puts in a little bit more of an acceleration on that group, tries to ping a few riders off the back. Zimmermann is just in a world of pain trying to hold on here. He's almost got his eyes closed as the German, but at the moment he's emerged as the best German on this climb. It's a good ride from Georg Zimmermann, really good ride. As this stalls a little bit, this chase group, and Pello Bilbao now just drops down a gear or two and spins a very high cadence, and he's dropped Georg Zimmermann, and he is in the process of dropping Ivan Sosa and Ruben Guerrero as well. Mauri van Sevenant once again just sits on the front of a small group and flicks a hopeful elbow or two in the direction of Ivan Sosa, but Pello Bilbao has left them now and is trying to ride off in pursuit of Adam Yates. Well, Yates has only won in his career 3 general classifications and never a Grand Tour, obviously. His first ever GC win came in 2014 when he won the Tour of Turkey. He won the curtailed UAE Tour in 2020 that COVID drew an early halt to. And last year he won the Tour of Catalonia. 3K to go for Adam Yates. Pello Bilbao is 23 seconds down. That's the battle for first and second. That's the battle for this race. 21 seconds now. Bilbao is riding faster at this moment than Adam Yates. 20 seconds. It'd have to be some ride from Bilbao if he's going to catch Yates. But if the two come together at the front, 19 seconds now. Bilbao does have a ferocious sprint on him, we know that. There is Bilbao, still just inching away from that chase group. Zimmermann still holding on there and trying to accelerate away, and Zimmermann is trying to ride across that group now, that gap, to get onto the wheel of Pello Bilbao. An amazing ride from Georg Zimmermann. What a ride. Where's he got that from? Georg Zimmermann looked absolutely cooked a kilometre or so down the road. But he's coming across that gap, and he's coming across it quite fast by the looks of it. Bilbao starting to look round. Out of the saddle. Just steps on the pedals a little bit more. There's Adam Yates, 2.5 kilometres to go for him. Still not entirely sure I can trust those time gaps on the screen. Yates still looking very good though, isn't he? started 2022 so well at the UAE Tour again, a race in which he traditionally thrives. Can't remember whether it was a climb to Jebel Hafit or Jebel Jais. I think it was Jebel Hafit, actually, where Adam Yates was the only rider who could live with Tadej Pogacar, and indeed Pogacar couldn't shake off Adam Yates until the sprint finish, in which he rolled him at the top of the climb. But those two climbers were head and shoulders above that World Tour field. And he's looking head and shoulders above everybody else on this climb in Schauinsland. 2.1 kilometers to go. There, at the top of your screen is Pello Bilbao. Isolated in third place, Georg Zimmermann. The best of the homegrown talent on this climb. Unexpectedly the best as well. Climbing better than Simon Geschke, better than Emanuel Buchmann. And at the moment, he's the third rider on the road. He's on a podium place on this stage, the Queen stage of his home tour. Pello Bilbao passing within 2 kilometers to go just now. Zimmermann just a few seconds later, coming through that 2K banner. So 3 isolated riders. Yates now going around this hairpin. The road does flatten off a little bit here. The majority of the really severe climbing is done here. And Adam Yates is close to victory. And with victory will come the red leader's jersey as well. Pello Bilbao, what's that time gap? Feels around about like 12, 15 seconds. Can't see Adam Yates significantly. Yates keeps disappearing out of sight and round corners. Georg Zimmermann is just a few seconds, just a handful of seconds in front of 4 riders, including Mauri van Sevenant, Ruben Guerrero, James Knox by the looks of it as well, and Ivan Sosa. Plugging away, Georg Zimmermann. Hasn't given up on that catching Pello Bilbao, but I don't think either of them are going to get to Adam Yates. Yates looking around and checking. Surely he's got this one under control and in the bank. 4%. That's the shallow gradient where he is now, Adam Yates. Just 1.2 kilometers to go. The road flattening off all the while. Bilbao clearly on good form. Just caught cold, I think, by the acceleration of Adam Yates when he got off the front, first of all with Antonio Pedrero, and then dropped the Spanish rider. That was the moment there that Bilbao should have tried to go with Adam Yates. And those two riders, Bilbao and Adam Yates, look so poised on the bike, and the opposite must be said of Georg Zimmermann. He's got a similar riding style to Mauri van Sevenant. But nonetheless, it's very effective, and it's a great ride from Zimmermann. Zimmermann won't be getting across, though, to Pello Bilbao. He's just trying to hold on, I think, to this third place on the climb, which would be a notable achievement in his young career, because they could still get to him, just about. Yates yet to win a bike race in 2022. Could this be the moment? It should be the moment. It will be the moment. Pello Bilbao looks up ahead of him on the road. He could just about make out the figure of Adam Yates, but already Yates is disappearing around that corner, and he's well into the last kilometre now. Zimmermann still closer to Bilbao, but still not making too many inroads, and he's looking round rather than ahead. That's 500 metres to go for Bilbao, that sign in front of him. Yates must be pretty close to the finish line now. So 500 metres, half a kilometre to go for Pello Bilbao to take a second place on the Queen stage. There's a 20-second gap between Yates and Bilbao, and a 10-second gap between Bilbao and Zimmermann. That's the timings we're getting off the race. And now the cameras at the finish line pick out Adam Yates. This is going to be a first win of 2022 for Adam Yates, and a historic moment as well in the history of the Deutschland Tour. A first ever summit finish, and it's going to go to the Ineos Grenadiers, and it's going to go to the British climber, Adam Yates. And with it will be the race lead and an impregnable GC position going into the final stage. The win goes to Yates, the jersey goes to Yates, a first win of 2022 for Yates, and a dominant performance on Schauinsland. A great victory for Adam Yates, Surely it's going to be enough for the overall as well. Here comes Pello Bilbao in second place. Bilbao picks up second place. It could possibly have been more. And in third place, cheer to the rafters, Georg Zimmermann has been caught and passed. Caught and passed by Ruben Guerrero and Mauri van Zevenant. Van Zevenant, I think, just about holding on to third place. Guerrero in fourth. Georg Zimmermann, ultimately a disappointed fifth place. Caught at the final there. James Knox comes over the line. Harm van Hooker and Sylvain Moniquet, Antonio Pedrero. There's just about your top 10. They all came in a big group towards the end after the isolated first and second places of Adam Yates and Pello Bilbao. Well, that was Yates, pretty close to his very best. And it meant a lot to him as well. Adam Yates in contract year at the Ineos Grenadiers. As Geoffrey Bouchard comes to the line, the best climber from AG2R Citroën. Bouchard finishing. Davide Formolo over the line too from UAE Team Emirates. There is Adam Yates, out of contract with the Ineos Grenadiers. His future is a little bit uncertain at the end of this year. And a win here at the Deutschland Tour, and almost certainly as well the GC victory, will do him no harm whatsoever. There's Alberto Bettiol, handing over, at the end of the day, his red jersey to this man, Adam Yates, who's being chaperoned now to the back of the podium, where he'll towel down and get ready to take the red jersey. Hermann Pernsteiner coming over the line with Emanuel Buchmann. Buchmann will be disappointed with that ride. Hasn't been quite himself in 2022, Emanuel Buchmann. And Hermann Pernsteiner will be hearing, no doubt, that his teammate Pello Bilbao has taken second place. Buchmann relegated to the minor placings. 2 minutes and 15 seconds have elapsed since the race was won by Adam Yates.